英国为了研究年轻和老化这件事，做出了轰动一时的电视节目《21天年轻100岁》。在这个节目里他们让来宾的脸上爬满活蜗牛，泡在牛奶浴里面，甚至还用了咖啡因灌肠，各种你想都想不到的方式，宣称要在短短的21天内让一群人加起来年轻100岁。欢迎收看挺健康，我是高龄医学科郑丁靚醫師。今天我们请到一位世界级的健康老化专家，他曾是英国国家卫生服务 NHS 的高龄事务大臣。这个角色等于是整个英国老年人健康政策的总舵手。不仅如此，他也同时是一位用科技帮助我们活得更好的创业者。听到这里，你可能会觉得他是一位非常严肃的科学家，但如果我告诉你，就是这样一位天堂级的专家，把节目上的来宾通通都变成了实证医学的受试者那么这位顶尖的医学权威，在这些疯狂的电视实境秀里发生了什么？这些匪夷所思的方法，到底是哗众取宠的噱头，还是隐藏了什么我们不知道的科学秘密呢？今天我们就请 Ian Philp 教授来跟我们一起聊聊他的观察吧。First of all, I would like to give a very warm welcome from Taiwan. What brought you to Taiwan?
I was in Taiwan 16 years ago. Favorite country, the friendliest people, kindest people, love it. So when I got a chance to come and give a lecture at a conference in Kaohsiung, I grabbed the chance and I've now come up to Taipei.
Brilliant, yeah. And what's the conference was about? Can you tell us a little bit more?
It's called the Asian Conference for Frailty and Sarcopenia.
Yes.
Yeah. Strange words. They're in the jargon of geriatric medicine, which is my specialty, the specialist care, healthcare for older people. And frailty is when you get old and it's difficult in the face of challenges to just keep going, stay independent. Sarcopenia is a cause of frailty due to muscle wasting. But the conference was amazing, brilliant science and great people, and really going to make a difference to the lives of older people.
Oh, fantastic to know. And I was honored to have the opportunity to was there as well. So that's the reason why we met. So let's come back to what we invite you here for today. We know you have a fantastic reputations in the geriatric world. However, today we're going to take a different turn. Talk about the rather interesting show you used to participate called 100 Years Younger in 21 Days. How are we gonna do that? Like as a geriatrician, this is kind of things I would never imagine.
Yeah, well, the reason I did the program on one of our national broadcasters in England. So we had 8 quite famous UK celebrities, ranging in age from 30 to 93. And we gave them a 3-week experiment in the island of Sardinia, where you have the longest life expectancy for men in the world. And we gave them a behavioral change program, and we were looking at could we reduce measures of their aging just in 3 weeks.
And can you tell us, in these programs, we've done quite a few things that we don't normally advise people in the traditional general clinical settings. Things like we put the snails on people's face, coffee enemas. So what's those things about?
So these were really just interesting things to do that could explain some underlying science. So if we take snails, what have snails got to do with healthy aging? The reason that snails were important is that Sardinian snails in particular are used in the serum of the best cosmetic products, mainly sold in Japan. It's Sardinia's top export is snails to Japan to make really good cosmetics. It actually enhances your longevity. It makes you feel better about yourself. And it was actually the one thing I changed doing the program because I didn't ever use moisturizers and things like that. But I did start using it after the program. So that's what snails had to do with it.
Oh, brilliant. So collectively, we're aiming for 100 years. That sounds amazing. How you actually measure the age of the physical changes?
So we did 3 tests of aging. We did body age, some physical tests, brain age, and face age. And we were able to create scores for how people performed, and we see how they would perform against people of different ages. And the way we got to 100 is we had 8 celebrities. They had 3 tests each. So there's a total of 24 things. If you include the people times the 3 tests, we could produce the reduction. And the aim was collectively, and putting all the scores together, could we get more than 100 years saved in body, brain and face age across the 8 celebrities.
And let me guess, the result is, did we made it?
Well, with the magic of television, I can reveal that the total loss of age across the group was 154 years.
Wow, 154. That's amazing, unbelievable. Yeah.
Especially with this group of celebrities that were fond of a drink, and some of them were known for their eating. And so, but basically they were living unhealthy lifestyles. And by doing the program, and if they carried the changes forward into their lives.
You say there's one's aged 93. How's that happened?
Actually, the person who was 93 felt that she was at the end of her life. She said she was doing the program for her kids and her grandkids because she was paid a lot of money. But she'd been a RADA actress, and to get her to really rejuvenate, I asked her to act. And you know, one of the other 8 things is a sense of purpose.
Yes.
She had lost this sense of purpose. She'd lost this sense of being a great actor, which she was actually. She was a great actor, and undervalued because she was in the soap operas. So she acted, but that had the effect of her going back into her daily life and saying, you know, I've got something still to live for.
And I think this show gave her the opportunity to be an actress again, be the top actress, to not just bring happiness and joy to the general public like a good artist would do. So from those experiences, one of the things that I guess we always get challenged, we get asked as professionals is people always think like, well, you're already a doctor, like you're sort of privileged. Why you want to get involved with like a cheeky and techies like shows or entertainments, things like this? What's there for you, or what's the intention of doing all this?
2 things really. One is that you can't run away from the science. Although you can make it fun and interesting, you have to hang the story on a scientific truth. And actually, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, and I was researching the shows, I phoned the world's experts on aging. They all took my call because I was doing a TV show. So I learned loads. I mean, I learned about the 8 things that comes from the world's experts on longevity. These 8 things that will change your life.
So tell us about the 8 things since we're on the subject.
So number 1 is social networking. The more social contact you have and maintain, it gives you the best chance of longevity. The number 2, and it's kind of equal, we talked about clean air, but also physical activity built into your daily life. Take the stairs, not the lift, if you can. So that's 3 so far. Number 4 is do new mental activities. Now, I have tried to learn Chinese. Only 3 words so far. Campé is my favorite. And then number 5 after that is stress and sleep. Stress can be a positive thing, but stress can also be destructive, and it plays out in how well you sleep. So these 2 are connected. And then after that, actually further down the list than people would think, is nutrition, but it's still really important. But there's 2 things about it. It is important what you eat, but it's even more important how you eat. Eating in company, eating for pleasure, and eating slowly. And the last one is sense of purpose. Having that feeling that you're doing things that are valued, whether it's within your family, with your friends, in your career, in your hobbies. Having a sense of purpose is so important. And it's actually the thing that helps old people face their death. You know, it's almost like a taboo subject, but I've talked to many old people about this, and they say that they're ready to face their death. It wouldn't be a tragedy. They don't want to be a burden to the family. They don't want to suffer. And the reason they're prepared to face the end of their life is they feel they had a life that was worth living. And that's the big thing about aging well, is to be able to both live in the moment and live for the future, but also to look back and make some sense of your life.
I guess that's one of the things, isn't it? Like, one of the fear people have towards the end of the life is they worry about, I won't get remembered. So they probably go back to what you say, the most important thing, their social network. So if someone's very lonely, they don't have much social support, it's difficult for them to feel that they have the sense of belongings as well. So no one's really relying on me or need me to do anything. I don't mean anything to anyone. So do you think these 2 things also go hand in hand?
Well, all these things are connected, really. And I think it's incredibly sad where you see old people that don't have that sense of belonging or value. It's about 1 in 5 old people experience that, which is really sad, and it's something we have to change, and it's something we need to work on in a society to create the intergenerational relationships. There is a residential home in San Diego in California, America, and all the old people there go there because they've got no surviving relatives or friends. But what they do is they replace that with the community in the home, but they also connect them with English language students in Latin America. And they teach the students to speak English, and the students provide the social content. And you know what? They've studied this. The feelings of love are just the same as the feelings of love with a family member. So I think this intergenerational piece is important. And certainly I think it is more common in the West that we have these problems. I think the culture in the East is much more to venerate the older person, even to remember ancestors. And we don't have that so much in the West. And I was thinking about this just before coming on the show, actually, is the difference between autonomy and independence. In the West, the stress is on autonomy, being the single individual. But across both Eastern and Western cultures, independence is important to be able to do the things that give your life purpose and meaning. Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess because in our culture, as a Chinese, we sort of live more collectively, and also we had that family sense quite strongly. So in a way that sometimes we get a challenge that the government sometimes will leave the responsibility for looking after the sick ones or the old ones to their youngsters, to their sons and daughters. But on the other hand, I guess for our elderly, if they can stay connected with their original sort of relatives and so on, we have less trouble in terms of the lonely death. But I guess this whole society get westernized. The similar challenge happens as well.
And also, if you rely on family care with a declining birth rate and an aging population and people having to move for work, the families are not around the old people. I mean, we studied this in Europe. We looked at the European countries and the family-oriented countries in the Mediterranean. The old people had the worst experience of aging because they didn't have any kids around them. In the Scandinavian countries, the state stepped in, and I'm pleased to say that UK was the best because family is the foundation of care. But what would happen is when the family could no longer cope, the state would step in and provide the care. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect in the UK, but I did give evidence to the government not to be too concerned about family care and not to beat themselves up about family care in the UK, because on a sort of, not that it's perfect, but the balance was about right.
So I overheard that you have innovation helping people like this, that what we said earlier with the loneliness. Can you tell us more about the services?
Yeah, so way back, Michelle, the professor in Edinburgh, a guy called Jimmy Williamson, when I was a medical student, he inspired me to do geriatrics, to specialize in the care of old people.
Yes.
He was fantastic. And when he retired, he said, Ian, I'd identified the problem of the unreported needs of old people living, but I didn't solve it, and he asked me to solve it. So I spent 30 years of research, 50 countries, including Taiwan. We did a study comparing the unreported needs of Aboriginal Taiwanese and Han Chinese, working with the Hualien school. What we found is that around the world, about 2/3 of the things that threaten older people's independence and well-being are not even reported. And more importantly, we found that if they are reported, you can do something about them. Things like loneliness, chronic severe pain, falls, and so on. So I started my business now called Aged Care Technologies, or ACT, to have a business model so we could get money behind it to create digital tools, go live in the digital world and get these tools out. And our ambition is to reach 100 million older people with these tools, because we know that on average it will give them at least one extra good year of life and reduce the time they spend sick before they die.
So it's very much like have just over a cup of tea that we had a chat like this with the old ladies and try to find out what would benefit to make their life better. And I guess it's a bit more than just the medical parts, isn't it? Like as a geriatrician in the clinic, we feel that we already do something like this. Obviously with the service, we'll sort of take a step further. So not looking just the sort of physical health per se, but also looking into maybe the financial needs, the social needs, etc., right?
Yeah, all of these things. The thing about our work as geriatricians is that however many we have, and we have a great society in Taiwan of geriatricians, the UK. Oh, the other thing I'm proud of the UK, we invented geriatrics.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
And we have a very big society of specialists in older people's care. But there's only so many, and yet the need is great. So what our methods do is that we allow much more older people to get support early before they go into a crisis, but also we identify a small percentage of these older people who really do need to see you and your colleagues. And we do it based on what we call the geriatric giants, the syndromes of aging where only really good old age specialists can provide the best help. Falls, memory loss, loss of mobility, loss of vitality, indeed, frailty and sarcopenia.
How fantastic. So today we started from educate the whole population and go into how can we live longer and better with the 8 pillar. At the end that we wrap it up with utilize the technology to enhance the people's to be able to stay in their own environments for longer. So it's very, very, very honored to have Ian to be with us in today's show. And I wish you all the best and hopefully we can collaborate more in the future.OK， 你喜欢我们今天的分享吗？对，就是现在，动动你的小手指，帮我们按赞、订阅、分享，让我们一起听 Help， 挺健康。
Listen